Hello, my friends on Stocktwits. Hello, my friends on YouTube. And hi over there over at TikTok. Yeah, we're always live on TikTok. Good to see you. Today is one of those days where, and I say this a lot, it's too good to be true. All right? Let me put my screen up there for you and we'll start showing you some of these fantastic things that we're involved in today. And hi. If you don't know who I am, my name's Kenny Glick. I've been trading since 1992. It's been a long time. And I'm old. I still use an AOL email address if anybody needs to contact me directly. Kenny Glick at AOL.com. And you might want to contact me at the end of this little inkling of what we did today. You might not appreciate what's happening today, but today is one of the more profitable days in the history of ever. Why? Because the trades that we focus on have all worked out to an extreme that used to be kind of bewildering or flabbergasting, but now we're kind of getting used to this. I have a trade, and I know this sounds ridiculous, and I say that every time. I have a trade, right, that works every single time. Did you just shut the screen? You probably wanted to, right? Who's this idiot talking about a trade that works every time? Nothing works every time. I know. That's what I thought. It is 4 years now, and we are on a streak that's unprecedented. And we've been keeping track from about 4 years ago, and I've been doing this trade since 2012. Now, let me give you a little bit of a default here or a backstory. It doesn't mean that every trade I put on works. It's this very specific setup that comes on earnings reports. That's why I'm very excited about earnings season starting again. But there's always a couple of stocks that are reporting earnings. Earnings season doesn't really end ever. It just becomes more, there's more of it. Obviously, Delta Airlines starts again, and then we have the banks reporting next week, and then tech. Next thing you know, we're in the heart of it. But every day, there's stocks like AEHR, which we're long right now, and STZ. But before we get to the trade that works every time, let me just say that one more time. We've been tracking this trade now since 2012. I would roughly put it at around, since 2012, 80% of the time the trade shows up. It provides a winning trade, meaning if you take the entry, you will have a chance to make money. That doesn't mean you're buying something at 9:30 and holding it till 4 and it just stays in one direction. That's completely not what it does. It gives you an opportunity to make money every time it shows up, which is good enough. Every single time. And since 2012, I've been experimenting with VWAP exclusively as a trading vehicle. And all you see on my screen, I'll take the red lines out because that's where I was selling and buying before. All you'll ever see on my chart is a blue line and an orange line. And what the orange line and the blue line is the rigging of the market. The market is we're not here to debate about it. The market is rigged. And a little backstory into the rigging of the market, and I'll try to talk a little bit quickly because I have to go somewhere. I have another seminar to do, and I'm going to be doing this live. If you'd like to join us, I'll be on a couple other websites. Just Google me, you'll find a place. And if you are interested, I'll be doing this live in Vegas. If you guys need an excuse to go to Vegas, I'll be live in Vegas February 22nd on the main stage, doing this exactly what I'm doing here and explaining this trade that has worked every time for me now for 4 years in a row and has worked about 85, I would say 80 to 85% of the time over the last 13 years. As a skeptical, jaded person, because I was a stockbroker first, I was born into the worst part of the industry, penny stockbroker, scamming, Wolf of Wall Street. I worked there. Wasn't for me. because I don't lie. These guys were just blatantly lying to people and manipulating their minds, and it was just awful. And I didn't really know what I got myself into when I first got there. But the more I learned, I realized how scammy it was, and I quit. And I was ready to leave the business because that's what I thought it was. Oh my God, it's just a bunch of salesmen selling fake companies. And it's just, wow, just awful. And luckily, around that same time, day trading was starting to be born through a small order execution system called SOS. Okay, long story short, got it when I got into trading. Always looking for an advantage, always looking for an edge. I've had my ups and downs, but come 2012, after I blew my life up trying to short the market after the first crash, somebody, his name was Zach Hurwitz, and he was a disciple of Brian Shannon. And he was watching the way that I traded and the way that where I placed my stops and where I believed my targets were. And he says, you're trading VWAP almost like inertly. And I said, who cares about VWAP? Because all I knew VWAP was this one number at the end of the day. And what I've learned about VWAP was that it was a price that institutional traders, when they're accumulating blocks of stock, they got their bonus if they beat the VWAP each day. So I knew. And he's like, no, it's such much, much, much more than that. And he heard me talk about how I believe the market was rigged. And he said, it is rigged. It's rigged to VWAP because VWAP is the algorithmic language, if you will, or the algorithmic indicator of institutional order flow. It's a lot of words. And I was like, that's interesting. And he said, you know what else is interesting, Kenny? I noticed you like to short stocks. Have you noticed that stocks don't like to stay down when they break back above the VWAP? And I said, I have started to notice that. And he explained to me why that is. For instance, let's say you work for Glick Incorporated and we want to buy some AEHR today. Remember the institutional trader. As the stock's going down, the institutional trader who's buying the 500,000 shares or the million shares of AEHR today, they have one job. They need to beat the VWAP. They're not concerned about the analysts where they think the stock's going to go. That's the analyst's job. The trader's job is to accumulate the shares and to beat the VWAP. So under the VWAP, the trader's like, oh, cool, I'll buy some here. I'll buy some here. Oh, it starts to go up. They start buying some more. So if the institutional trader wants to keep their average price below the VWAP, what happens if it breaks back over the VWAP? The institutional trader has to frantically start buying. And what now we have learned is that these are not humans any longer doing it. It's programmed. So the programming is set. The order has been given pre-market. And then they set the algorithms to trade around the VWAP to accumulate the blocks. So as little piker traders that we are, not buying millions of shares, but just 1,000 shares, which is fine, we understand that stocks that report earnings, right, there's a few more reasons that this trade's going to work. Think about the trader that made the bet that AEHR was going to fall. How does the trader who took that bet make that money? They won. They have to cover their short to take the profit, which is buying. The dollar cost averager who likes AEHR and is taking advantage of the 20% haircut is a buyer. So you've got people looking to buy. So what we look for is a confirmation of that idea, because you could have an idea all you want. VWAP confirms that notion or the thesis of the dollar cost averaging and the short covering. And by doing this for the last 13 years, how many years has it been now? 13 years of just exclusively trading this setup. We have learned that if you get through today's prior day VWAP, today's VWAP, you tend to gravitate back to prior day VWAP because that's the rigging of the market. Now, again, this one hasn't got there, but again, suffice it to say, there's also a chart pattern that I started to use when I was a kid, 1996, 1997, when I started working at a firm. Me and my buddy, we started to notice that stocks would go down, down, and then down a little bit more, then they would turn. And we started saying, oh, they're faking them out, now they're shaking them out, and now they're going to break out. And I was like, hey, that's funny. It's like the Faux-Show-Bro. Fake them out, shake them out, and then break them out. So the trade that hasn't failed in over 4 years now. So you have your premise. I want to buy a stock that's gapped down on earnings because there will be short covering and there will be some dollar cost averaging. But you just don't want to take the trade on that notion. You want it to be confirmed by the faux and the show, and then the VWAP break, which usually gets the bro. So the idea of the fake out, shake out, breakout is the stock will hit a spot, bounce, and attempt to rally, but yet still break that recent low, then come back. So it fakes them out, shakes them out, and then the VWAP breaks it out. Faux, show, VWAP break. So not only, and again, this chart right here, to me, is artwork. This chart exemplifies everything that I do now for a living. And if you are struggling with your trading, how about take a trade that hasn't failed in over 4 years and at probably roughly 80% over the last 12 years of success. These last 4 years have been unprecedented. Not one of these trades has failed. And it's a combination of price, it's a combination of chart pattern recognition that meets the VWAP. This chart pattern has worked for us since the 90s. Coupled with the VWAP as confirmation is unstoppable. And if you could stay focused and just take this trade over and over and over again and just don't do anything else. Don't be distracted by your fads of the day like metals. And again, they're all great trades. USAR, we're getting paid. You love your TMQs, you love your CRMLs, right? You're into everything's ripping right now. We're all geniuses. Every stock's going 10x. Inevitably, that's going to end, and we're going to have a little bit chop, and maybe even I don't know if we'll ever go down 3 days in a row ever again, but maybe we will. Right now, the market is so super bullish, hard to fight it. But this trade, the reason it's so special, it transcends all market environments. It works if the market's going up, down, or sideways. Because where there's more volume, VWAP works better. Because there's more volume, there's more activity, there's more people and more algorithms at work. So if you stay focused on the stocks that report earnings and you see the faux show VWAP break, and not only did you see the fake out, shake out, but this sideways action is also known as the Andy Dufresne. Do you know what the Andy Dufresne is? The Andy Dufresne pattern is when the stock goes sideways. It's just working its way through the sewer pipe of disgustingness that Andy Dufresne worked his way through to come out of Shawshank prison. And the idea is that he runs to say Wataneo. So we've got a combination of everything, and there's still just one more pattern right in here. This is a Faux-Show-Bro, Andy Dufresne, Kardashian bottom VWAP break. It's a mouthful, but that's what the pattern is. So these patterns, as we call it, chart pattern recognition, and if you didn't know, my name's Kenny Glick. I am the universe's #1 pattern recognition trader. If you didn't know that. Before I was VWAP, Before I was the VWAP Robin Hood, or the VWAP, again, I am not the VWAP God. That would be Brian Shannon. The VWAP Emperor would be Zach Hurwitz. I am just a Sith Lord, if you will. And I'm happy with that. It's okay. I don't have to be the God or the Emperor. I'm pretty content with where I'm at as a Sith Lord or a disciple of VWAP. And I try to bestow this wisdom upon you each and every day. But it's a combination of 30 years of hard work and pain and struggle and suffering that I have found this wonderful, beautiful setup that works every day. And the reason we do this live each day at the hitthebid.com website is that as I started this conversation by telling you there's no reason to believe me, there's no reason to believe me. That's why we do it live. And we do it live so then you could see it for yourself. Hey, there's that trade that he talked about, that bald guy who says this trade works every time. There it is. Oh, look, we're buying it. Oh, look, it's working. I guess it does work every time. So just on this little notion, right? And again, if you trade options, this one's not the greatest options trade because they're kind of illiquid. But if you trade options, generally you could trade options on these trades as well. But when you have just monthlies, I don't like to look at them unless they're near the money. So in this case, you could have bought a $25 call and your entry price would have been 124 and the option went to $2, close to 100% on your money. So it wasn't bad. Yeah, that's the opposite of bad. I guess that's pretty good. So as we continue this conversation, let's talk about the STZ trade, right? So this one, right? Let's walk through those steps again. So why is this trade on our radar today? They reported earnings. What are we thinking about doing? We're thinking about shorting it. Why? Because it's gapped up. So what's the premise? The premise is if a stock is gapped up, the gentleman that took the trade 3 days ago wants to take profits. What are they going to do? They're going to be sellers. The shorter that looks to trade VWAP is looking to short the stock. Where are they going to short the stock? They're going to short it at VWAP. So there's your premise and your inkling and your notion. And then what do? You wait for confirmation of VWAP. Because look, at first, you had the fake out, shake out VWAP break. It was a long trade. But I stay specific to the trade. If it doesn't do what I want to see it do, I don't do the trade. So right here, I'm thinking, well, I guess we ain't going short STZ today. And then 9 minutes later, it broke VWAP. Decisions made. We're short STZ now. And the good part about the stock going up first, that's what we call the finger of God. The upper knuckle and the rollover become your stops. The VWAP's your reason to short it. And then you cover where stocks pivoted once before, where I covered here, and I covered some down here. And then, yeah, the red line, I wound up getting stopped out because where I cover on the way down, and I firmly, truly expected it to go down to the 141 at the 15 at the time because the orange line is where we usually revert to. And again, I'm going to spoil the surprise. You can see it on the right-hand side there. But here's what's awesome about this trade and how well it works. When you truly only trade VWAP, you could use it as confirmation bias or trend bias. So right now, even though the stock is still green, the bias was to sell. The inability for it to get back over the VWAP confirms that the sellers are still out there and they're looking to sell some more. Hence this candle. Who do you think that was? That was the hit the bidders and the VWAPians. That was us. Getting short again because we had now confirmation that we should short it. And we also had the orange line telling us that, hey, that's still out there, baby. You still got a chance to get down there. How you doing right there testing it to the penny, huh? getting down there to that orange line. So when we talk about the market being rigged for the VWAPians, it's not a debate. It is rigged. It's rigged to price. And what's the most important price? Today's VWAP and multiple time frame VWAP. Brian calls it anchored. I call it multi-day. And through careful experimentation, I have found which levels are best. Today's VWAP and prior day. And then when you have a trade that's following through, like the QQQ short, as it gets to today's 1 minute multi-day, you have a reason to hold because the 2 days telling you it's going to go here. We covered some there. And then it got to the 2, we look at the 3, and then it got to the 3. And then we said, hey, where's this thing going to go? Well, how about to the 4? And then we covered, and then it started to bounce and went back over the 3, and we had to cover because that's the rule. But then what happened, Kenny? Looks like the market went down some more. That's right. So we shorted it again, right? In this case, it went back below the 3, back below the 4, and we said, well, what's going to happen now? Well, why don't we take a look at 5 days worth of data? Oh. And look where we went. To the 5. To the penny. And that's where we covered. And I'm pretty much done with this trade. I'm still short a little bit right now because my stop remains above these levels where we couldn't get over earlier. Now, I'm no fool. I know the market never goes down. I know this is an anomaly. I know the market's probably going to be higher at some point, either today or tomorrow. I'm not staying short. And that's what VWAP does for me. And that's why when I say VWAP saved my life, as a shorter, you have to understand how important these levels are. And then you just go back to price pivots. If you hold the 5 and you get back over the 4, chances are you're going to start rallying. And then that rally starts to feed on itself. And everybody starts to buy. And you say, hey, remember a couple hours ago when the market was down? Yeah, that was crazy times. Because this market, and if you guys are shorters, there's a one phrase I want you to remember. Shorting is short-lived, and you're going to die. I have given back more money. If I had never shorted the market, I'd have a home in Colorado, somewhere in Alaska, somewhere in Costa Rica, but I was a shorter. And I've learned my lesson the hard way. But now, because I trade algorithmically, I understand that there is no, first of all, there's really no reason to believe we're going down. We were told by the market today that you got a shot. So we took our shot and it worked. But we never lose focus of the idea that shorting is short-lived and we're going to die. But in this case, they're going to die. Because we trade VWAP and we trade price, which takes what? It takes the emotion out of the trade. So if you're debating whether or not this market is good or bad, it's not a debate, right? You don't fight the market. Jesse Livingstone, right? The market knows more than you. And what is the market in 2025? VWAP. VWAP is the market. Today's VWAP and multiple time frames. And if you stay focused, and by the way, here's a couple of other trades right now, and I have to leave you shortly. TMQ, right? Why are we in this stock? Can you guess? Fake out, shake out, consolidation, VWAP break. Faux-Show, VWAP break. And right now, if you are not hip to the new trend, anything with the word metal in it is hot. And what do you do with hot stocks? You buy them. And when do you buy them? When they try to faux show you out of them and you got paid. Got stopped out on the way back down. fake them out, shake them out, bought it again, got paid, got stopped out when it breaks VWAP because I trade VWAP. And then earlier, just about a half an hour ago, faux show, VWAP break, and we're back long. And now what do you think we're doing right now? Sold to you. Because when stock get back to prices at where something once happened, you have to do something. And if you guys are in the TMQ, and I know you are, sell some right here. And now you place your stop at the midpoint and the VWAP. And you say to yourself, well, I got to hang in there with some of this just in case it rips back to the highs, which is what we think is going to happen. But we don't trade what we think. We trade what is. Not what we think. What is. That's the difference. I don't have to guess. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell some right here, which I just did. Now I place my stop at the pivot, which would be 585. I place another stop at 675. And now we go back to the trade that most people do. Ooh, I hope it goes up. See, you can start using hope and faith as a strategy, which is a terrible strategy. They're just two strippers that we're going to meet in Vegas in February. What's up, Sapphire? But you can hope now. Right now, you could let hope and faith creep into your trade because you know exactly what you're doing. If it breaks, you'll stay in. But if it rolls over, you're going to sell more here, and you're not going to let it break back below the VWAP if you're still in it. And that's what's wonderful about the way we trade. And again, this isn't one of those earnings reports. This is just a stock that we started trading today, and we've gotten paid on it now 4 different times today. And I got to leave you right now. I'm going to cut it short. I'll give you a couple good names to watch. USAR, all-time highs, my friends. Stocks on fire. CRML, government interaction again. Everything metals right now. So right now the trends are space rockets, robots, quantum AI, and chips. Right? If you guys have watched me on Yahoo Finance, I coined that about a year and a half ago. It's the hottest sectors that there are. That's what's making this market go up almost every day. Space rockets, robots, quantum AI, and chips. But now we've got a new thing going on. Rare earths and nuclear. So as a fad continues to spread in 2025, all you need to do is Google what stocks have the word metal in the name. No shit. No shit. That's how I found, what was it the other day? Well, CRML, I was a little bit late to it. But we had this TMQ on the radar. And then next thing you know, the government's buying some. And then we had, well, if you guys know about BTQ, it's not another metal stock, but it just hit my scanner as a buy. There's the faux, there's the show, and you're possibly about to bro. And again, I'm not in this trade, but I should have been in at 1050 already. Keep an eye on that one. And ladies and gentlemen, I forgot, what was the other? It was USAR, it was TMQ, it was TMC. If you guys don't know this one, TMC, the metals company. That's about it, right? It was the 4 of them, right? It was CRML, USAR, which is my favorite one. That's one I still own. I'm swinging it. I think it's going to 50 at least. I don't own many stocks. I own a very small amount. I don't like swing trading because I'd rather just get paid on a trade that works every time than guess that this thing's going to go. And again, but in this market, when stocks break all-time highs, they tend to double. This stock just broke all-time highs at 20 bucks just the other day. Triple top break through 20. Stock's already at 31. You tell me, yeah, I'm just looking for another 9 points. Chances are it's going to go to 40. And if it goes to 40, chances it goes to 50. So anyway, I got to run. My name is Kenny Glick. We have a trade that works every time. I'd love to show you more about it. I do this live every single day, and I've been doing this live since 2007. Every trade that we talk about is demonstrated on the screen. You hear my voice, and we walk you through these trades. My friend Solid Jello, we call him. You can call him Solid, and myself. And all we're doing is putting you in front of these algorithmic chances, these algorithmic trades that tend to work quite often. And your job is just to get involved, raise those stops, work your orders, and please don't ever let a winning trade become a losing trade. So I'll leave you with that. And my friends, today, absolutely exceptional. And the reason I love today was that we actually made some decent money shorting the Qs, which has been a losing trade, obviously, for the last forever. And it's more or less over now. I just got stopped out of the rest of it. So I'm flat now. I'm just back to my little swing trades that I have on, which is just dribs and drabs of, a couple of stocks I like. I am still just the essence of what day trading is all about. I'm liquid every day. I'm loving it. And tomorrow I could take as many trades as I want and or not trade at all. I could just wait for the next setup. And by the way, if you are short the Qs anymore, I wouldn't be. Because remember, shorting is short-lived. And they're going to die. You see why I got stopped out? I'm no fool. I know the market doesn't go down anymore. So if you took advantage of this short, you pat yourself on the back and say, wow, I can't believe that even worked. Neither can I. Because man, oh man, it has been a losing game shorting this market. My name's Kenny Glick. Google me, email me, join the website. If you've been struggling with your trading, I will save you from yourself as I saved my own self from my dumb ideas.